So you have a tender rate and your love overlanding. You have plans to do it big on the trace and some super glamping. One idea, deep news and reviews, a podcast the first rate and here just for you. You don't have to think about it, join us and be about it. Something interesting we want to hear about it, come on let's talk about it. Welcome to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints Podcast.
Sponsored by Midland, communication for every adventure, the industry leader in radio communication technology and innovation for over 50 years. Sponsored by MYMEDIC. Sponsored by TEMBO TUSK. Sponsored by Shower Pouch. Sponsored by DeMoss Collective, mission built and made for mobility. Sponsored by BrewTrek. Sponsored by Hard Impact Designs.
Always remember, the opinion you follow should be your own. Just consider the things stated here to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online.
It is almost unheard of unless you're someone of note that they want to promote on their social media. It's almost unheard of to go to these outfitters and say, hey, I need this fridge slide installed, and you get it done in a timely fashion and for a decent price. They charge outrageous prices, and then they're like, oh, we can't get to you for 3 months. And that's almost like part of their selling point to you. Like, people wait for us. And all I'm thinking is, I know a little bit about mechanic shops because that's inevitably all you actually are, is a upscale mechanic shop. And what do they do when things back up like that? They realize, oh, we need 2 more mechanics. We need another installer. We need another person at the front of the desk. And so they don't do really anything for you, and you pay way more for it. And man, I got a lot to say about that.
Well, so when you say outfitters, I mean, outfitters are, I think you go into 2 different categories, right? Mm-hmm. Outfitters are resellers. So they're instead of being a brand, they are a company that sells multiple lines and different brands. And then you've got the outfitters, and in some cases it's both of those, that install those given brands on your vehicle or certain kinds of vehicles, right? And you're right, I don't use I mostly do custom stuff, although I'm using outfitters to this extent that, you know, like if I'm developing a roll cage, or I'm fabricating something that goes on my truck or whatever, you know, I'm generally not doing that in-house myself. I'm hiring somebody to do that. So I'm working directly with them. So I do get involved with, you know, different people that, like you said, you run into some of the things where, well, I can get you in, but it's, you know, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a month and a half. You got to wait to, you know, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that's just I hate to say it, but that's a reflection of where we are as a society today, with not enough people going into the trades. And, you know, I run into this in some of my other businesses in the past, you know, in the restaurant business, for sure. It's hard to hire anybody. Even when I was in the construction and general contracting side of the business, trying to get, you know, electricians, plumbers, HVAC people, concrete workers, you know, framers, whatever. There's a shortage of all of those things. And I suspect there's also a shortage in welders, which oftentimes comes into in our Overland world. I mean, we're always trying to do something with metal, you know, either making products or installing them on vehicles. Fabrication of any kind is such an art. It's such a skill, and I just think there's not a lot of that going on. And to touch for a second on what you were saying about, you know, taking in a sponsor as a media person or a social media influencer or something. I agree with what you're saying. I think, and by the way, that's not just influencers, but it's also these outfitters. So they're backing these products, right? And some of them it might bite them in the ass eventually. If you're not careful and you really are not testing the stuff. Like, I don't like to ever take on any sponsor that I don't personally know really who's involved in the company.
Me too.
Who's making the stuff? Where is it made? Have I used it? Have I legit used it? Or is it just somebody contacting me, which happens all the time, where somebody will send me an email and say, "Hey, Mike, we'd love for you to have this product and take it, test it out, blah, 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 blah." Now, I will occasionally do that, but I'm definitely not taking it on as something that I'm going to tell you, "Hey, Phil, you got to go out and buy this." I'm not ever going to tell you or anybody else to do that until I've had that thing probably, I don't know, some amount of time where I've actually tested it in real world environment. And I know I'll give you a good example of this, and I'm not suggesting it. It's a lot of brands do this, but a couple of years ago, Blue Eddy approached me that makes the boxes, the charge boxes, whatever you call those things. And so I took a unit, and I ended up testing it for a while, and then I did a video. They had asked me to produce a video, and I told them when I took it, I go, "Look, if this thing's a piece of garbage, I'm going to do a video. I promise you I'm going to do a video, but I'm going to say that it is a piece of garbage." And as it turned out, it was a good unit. So, and I actually still use it today. But the reason I bring them up in particular, that particular company, is they sent those things out to lots of people. Like, I'm not unique or special. I mean, I know, like, I can't tell you how many people I personally know that also got one. And
pretty much everyone I know that has one, that's how they got it.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not sure I know anybody that bought it. So what does that indicate? That indicates that that's a new and effective way of marketing products nowadays, for sure. It's way cheaper to hand out a product. So if let's say the item was $500, whatever their cost is, let's say it's probably $25 or whatever. I don't know what it costs per unit for them on such a scale, but it's probably fairly low. If you sent out 5,000 of them, that's cheaper than running an ad on television or running it in print media or getting a billboard or whatever else. So, and people are more inclined to trust you or me or some other Joe Smo out there that's a guy that's not, affiliated with something. We don't have anything to benefit from it, really. So, but the problem I have is what you said, and that's kind of, I know I want to beat around the bush here a little bit. What you said was it's going to bite people in the ass, kind of, is I'm paraphrasing, and that's what's going to happen is that unfortunately, as particularly these Overland outfitters that are picking up, a bunch of product lines, and they're constantly being driven to expand that, right? Because if I want to go to XYZ outfitter and I want to buy a winch, I don't want to have to deal with 20 different outfitters. I want to buy the winch. I want to buy the bumper. I want to buy the strap. I want to buy everything from that same organization, right? Makes it easier. Kind of why I use Amazon so much. And so they're constantly being pressured, probably very similarly to us being pressured to, take on these things and test things and show people. And I don't know from an outfitter standpoint if they can really get out in the field and actually test these things, or are they just simply a bricks and mortar reseller? How are they any different than Walmart?
Right. I kind of look at it as I've been using this term for a long time, the Blockbuster effect. You remember Blockbuster Video?
Sure do. Blue and yellow.
Now, if you were to Google, the media always refers to their downfall as them not acquiring Netflix back in the day when they could have got them, I think, for a few $1 million or something like that. And like it was the biggest flub they ever made, and that's why they went away. But that is not why they went away. It's the same thing as what I'm saying about this Overland thing. They were gouged, Blockbuster. I'm a movie guy. I used to go get movies like every other day. And if I happen to miss a day and forget to return it, sometimes it would be like $30, $40.
Yeah, I know. I remember that. Yep.
And if you remember, Netflix was not a streaming service in the beginning. People were willing, and I was one of these first early adopters. People were so pissed off at how they were being gouged and being treated like it was a privilege to give this company their money, that they were willing to say, I'll wait 2 days for my DVD to come versus getting it immediately. So we were basically willing to jump through a couple of loops just to give it to the company that was giving it to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's going to happen to like outfitters, because this is my prediction for the industry coming soon. Someone, I don't know who it'll be. It may be Pep Boys. It may be what's it? Roof Racks company. It's some company with the word rack.
Yeah.
Rack and roll or something like that.
Something like that. Rack and tire or rack and. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It may be Firestone or Goodyear, you know, the mechanic shops. They're going to jump in and be like, we already do lifts. We do it cheaper. Mm-hmm. You can tell us you want it Friday, bring it in Friday, and come pick it up at the end of the day.
Yeah. Jiffy or something that some place that has the infrastructure and the units in place already.
Because the roof rack place that I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of, that's their specialty. But people go to these outfitters and pay double the amount for the actual product and then more to get it put on. And they roll them out of there like, you know, one after another, and they don't charge you that much for it. So I see outfitters being extinguished by the Blockbuster effect.
Outfitters are by definition, they're the middlemen, right? And that's one of the reasons that Amazon is so successful, is because there's no middleman.
Well, that's what outfitters have become. I'm old enough to remember actual real outfitters where he had done it for years. And now he's decided, I'm going to stay in one place and open up a shop and provide for others. And you were able to talk to that guy, and he was able to tell you actual great advice for your trip to Africa or your trip to wherever it was you were going. Yep. That is no longer the case. I don't want to mention a name, but I have an outfitter in Washington that I have attempted to give my business on several times, but I end up walking out because the guy is talking to me like he knows what he's talking about. And I literally almost want to get on my horse and be like, do you know who you're talking to? I mean, I have literally from this particular outfitter heard lies about products and the origins and the history and the story behind it and the specs and everything. They've given me incorrect information about what they can and cannot do with an install and what it can be in. So much stuff. So an outfitter now has become what you said. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. I would. That's a fair assessment. Yep.
So that's all. I just had that on my mind, and I wanted to get that off my chest because, like I said, the guy said something. He was just trying to sound smart. There was nothing behind the statement. But sometimes somebody says a gem of a thing and they don't even realize it. And I thought about it more, and I was like, yeah, a lot of these people who consumers have trusted in and had faith in have put money in their pocket. Their time is coming if they haven't been an honest person.
Yeah, and that's true not of only the outfitters. Like I said, it's true of influencers and social media people and event organizers or anybody else. It's who you hitch your wagon to you're only going to be as good as your weakest link, right? So if your weakest link is whatever, you went out and you pitched this particular thing for years, and then it turns out that it's a boondoggle, or that it's dangerous, or it wasn't what it was billed out to be, or whatever the scenario is, it's certainly going to reflect poorly on the individual that is promoting it, right? I mean, that's just common sense.
I agree with that. All right. I just had to get that off my chest. This was
good way to start, Phil.
This was kind of like my little bitching session.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what we were planning on talking about.
Okay.
You know that I believe it was the 57th annual Jeep Jamboree, Easter Jeep Safari ended. And most people know it as that's the place that off-road enthusiasts and Jeep loyalists, they attend this event and they go off-roading. But a very important big event that also happens is the Jeep brand comes to town, and they usually bring a handful of concept vehicles. So I've given you some footage, and I've given you some photos and all kind of stuff to go over. And we're just going to basically talk about the vehicles from Easter Jeep Safari, the concept vehicles. Now, people who are watching this, there will be footage for them to watch. If you are not watching this and you're watching it on the audio only podcast, you'll miss out on that. And there's nothing I can do about that. The first one is going to be the Jeep Wrangler Magneto 3.0 concept.
2023, this is the third and final iteration of our ongoing Magneto project, where we created a fully battery electric, fully mission capable Wrangler. For this year, we've added a lot more to the powertrain, but I'll walk you around the exterior first. Starting up front, we've got our Rubicon 20th grille on here. The hood, carbon fiber fenders, leaving it up on 40-inch tires, which we introduced last year, also when we extended the wheelbase. But then this year, we've raked the windshield back, effectively chopped the top, created a new roof for it with this great blue see-through on it, reupholstered the interior, updated the color scheme on the outside, and really gives it this aggressive, cool off-road look to it. Third and final iteration of Magneto, functionally, it's still a fully battery electric vehicle connected to a 6-speed manual transmission. New for 23, has a more efficient axial flux motor. We have 20% more range, increased torque now from 850 last year, we're up to 900 foot-pound torque. Also a 20% increase in usable energy from the batteries. We've also added selectable drive modes, the first being a regen, so off or medium, more for street driving, and then a separate aggressive regenerative mode in four-wheel drive low only, which offers one pedal driving. Imagine going down a very, very steep hill and having to throttle to go down the hill without the brakes. And then a 2-stage selectable power output. So baseline 285 horsepower, which matches the gas V6 this vehicle was originally equipped with, or the electric full beans 900 foot-pounds torque.
Whoa. So what do you think of that, man? First of all, it's beautiful. Before you give me, I want to discuss something for the Jeep people and the people who go to Easter Jeep Safari. First of all, you may not know it, but I'm an associate member of the Red Rock Crawlers who throw this event. I don't think I ever told you that. Anyway, the Magneto, anybody else who goes to the Easter Jeep Safaris, I'd like for you to reach out to me and tell me if I'm wrong about this. But I distinctly remember in 2017, the blue and white Magneto, and it was a drone that they had on top of it. The concept was you were going to be able to have your drone land and go off of this little platform off of it and everything. And I thought that was the first year of the Magneto. But the information Jeep sent me, they're saying like this is the 2.0 and it's only been like out for 3 years. So were there two blue and white vehicles named Magneto, or whatever? I'm looking for somebody to inform me.
Put it down in the comments down below here.
So what do you think of this?
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, if they were selling this thing right now, I'd take one of those right away. That thing is, you know what I like? What I really like about it is that the hood, the see-through hood with the electric motor inside there. That's pretty cool. You know, I mean, the look of it is nice with a rake back windshield and 40-inch tires on it. And interestingly, and I kind of noticed it by looking at it, but I guess it's stretched too, right? So it's longer than your stock two-door Jeep. But it doesn't look as long as, say, the Rubicon, the four-door, right?
It looks a little bit longer. The roof slopes, so it makes it look shorter, but it has to be longer.
I'm just wondering whether the seats are back farther or not, but that's hard to tell. Yeah, I mean, interestingly, I guess I wasn't aware of, and maybe you have more stuff released from the press release, but explain to me, how do you have an electric motor with what looks to be a 6-speed manual transmission? How does that work?
I don't know how they do it, but I know that there's like two different gearboxes. There's one that adjusts to normal driving, and then there's another one that realigns the torque for off-road. That's all.
Because inside you've got your high-low. I mean, the levers are exactly the same as like my stock Rubicon JL was. So it's got a 2 low, 2 high, 4 low. And then it's got, a regular 6-speed manual in there. So typically electric vehicles are it's at all, right?
From my understanding, it's not like a true gearbox, like you're actually moving the gear.
Yep. So it's so those are electronically based, maybe.
Right. So I think it's like simulating.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And that's what I'm saying.
To tell us too.
When you're off road, it doesn't give you that crazy 800 torque. It reconfigures it, and it feels like you're driving a manual.
Yeah. Okay,
but you're not actually driving a manual. Because if it was a manual, then that would be direct connect, and it would tear up the gearbox every time.
Yeah, I would think. Boy, that is an interesting truck with 40-inch wheels on it, or 40-inch tires.
We just talked about that.
Yeah, we talked about it in a different podcast, but I got to tell you, it looks pretty darn good on this Jeep.
Yeah, and even though the things we said about the 40s, I have a different opinion of it on this vehicle, because this vehicle has the actual equipment. It was designed to handle the 40. It has the power, it has the chassis, it has everything.
Now here's my two questions, and let's just be honest here. I think of all the vehicles that we're going to be talking about today, this might be the least likely to ever be produced. Is that a fair assessment? I
agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's too small a niche.
Yeah.
Way too small.
Well, what's interesting about it is obviously this is what auto manufacturers use as test beds for new ideas and, consumer feedback and everything else. So that's kind of what makes it interesting. And on that note, the Easter Jeep Safari is kind of a little bit of a unique event. And I went through it once, in the fact that it is so well supported by the actual manufacturer of the vehicle line, because you don't really find that. I was involved with the Land Rover community for a long time, and at various times, occasionally Land Rover would get a little bit involved, the manufacturer, but really they kind of over the years have kind of taken the attitude as everybody knows Land Rovers do this. We don't need to really support this. So Jeep is definitely been very involved with that event.
You ready to go on to the next vehicle?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at it.
Okay. The next one we're going to look at is the Jeep Scrambler 392 concept. Now we'll listen to Mark Allen and he'll explain.
Next up, really cool project. This we're calling the Scrambler 392. It's based off of a 392 Wrangler. Of course, those are all 4-door. We turned this into a 2-door. Left the wheelbase the same, 40-inch tires. Light weighted the vehicle by taking off a lot of the pieces we didn't need. Carbon fiber hood, fenders, the whole quarter panel. This also features AccuAir's new air suspension. I'll demonstrate. Has about 5 inches of travel or movement to it up and down. And then the back of the vehicle, which is sort of a truck style. In fact, we used the last 10 inches of a Gladiator pickup to create the back, including the tailgate. 392 Scrambler.
Yeah, so that's just like the last vehicle, except that it was based on a 4-door Wrangler, and he said he kept the wheelbase the same. So
now this one, I can actually see being an overland vehicle, possibly, with additional things added to it.
yeah, wheelbase is a little longer. It doesn't give you a ton of room in the back there for much. You know, I would like to see this truck with a full back on it, you know, a full Jeep back, even like a Gladiator back.
That's how I'm picturing it. Yep.
Yeah, where you could put, you know, a rooftop or a pop-up or, you know, something that you could accommodate camping in.
That's what I'm thinking.
That would be really cool.
It's I know we're supposed to talk all macho about these Jeeps, but that was a pretty Jeep. It was. I loved that lime. I loved the details on it. That was I like
so far both of them.
Yes.
I mean, the blue one and the green. You could see if you look at them side by side together that the green Scrambler is longer than the other one, but this one, the Scrambler reminds me a little bit of something that you're going to race the Baja with. I
agree with that. I definitely agree with that. It almost looks like a dune buggy kind of.
Yeah, but I was going to say, what's the Ford? It seems to be a little bit like the maybe it's the wide fenders in the back, reminding me of the you know, I'm drawing a blank here. What's the Ford pickup truck? But the Baja
Ranger.
Oh,
F-150.
Put it on the screen when we think of it later.
Okay.
I don't know. No, it's you know, they're the special truck. The God, I should know. I'm
the Lightning, the electric one, the Lightning.
No. It's just they've had it for years. It's just a model. Yeah, it's a model of the F-150, but it's the one with the wide fenders and
the Raptor.
The Raptor. That's right.
Okay.
Yep. This reminds me of that a little bit.
I can see what you're saying. So let's go on to the next one. You ready for that?
I sure am.
That is the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe departure concept vehicle.
This happens to be the JPP product showcase car. This is called the Departure, and it has a lot of really great features. Some of them are prototype, some of them are available now, so it's sort of a mix. And we use the Moab to show this off. First up front is this bumper bench, so this grill guard flips down. You can sit on that. Prototype fender flares. These are a flat style fender flare, 37-inch tire. Looks great color scheme on this vehicle, including this beautiful saddle leather interior. Tube doors, lighting, extra storage to it. And on the back of the vehicle shows a really cool concept idea. We put it together here, and it's where the name Departure comes from, honestly. 37-inch tire shown on this prototype gate, stored on the inside, and then through a pivoting mechanism can be pulled to the outside of the vehicle, and you gain the interior space back. Cool idea.
I avoided initially looking at this vehicle because of the front grille, because it just sounded like some kind of gimmick, but it's actually really cool.
No, that is super cool.
And
Yeah.
I imagine
I like the way that the grill matches the doors.
Yes. And that's another thing, especially, and we'll talk about it later with the 2024 Jeep, is how many aftermarket products they are incorporating that you can actually buy. So that will help with your warranty.
Right.
But if they didn't tell me this was a concept vehicle, this looks like something I've seen rolling through Moab.
This is definitely as close to production of the vehicles that we've looked at so far. And it's interesting as a manufacturer. It's one of the things that I kind of like about Jeep is they are looking at aftermarket products and starting to make more and more of those themselves, as opposed to relying on the outside market to do it. Jeep's been coming up with a whole lot of different accessories that you could put on. I know even on my Rubicon JL, from the snorkel to the different bumper sets that they had to, some of the skid plates that they had, there are all sorts of different things available. And over the years, they've worked obviously with like AEV and other companies to do stuff. My JK was an AEV edition that was all under warranty because AEV would, purchase it directly from Jeep. And then, when I bought it from AEV, it was already completely warranted with all the modifications on it.
We're going to talk about warranties a little later. So we're going to come back to that conversation. Are you ready for the next one?
Sure am.
Okay. What is the next one?
Give me a color.
Yeah, right. We did the Jeep Scrambler. Okay. The next one is the 1978 Jeep Cherokee 4xe concept vehicle. Mark Allen telling us about it.
For Moab 2023, one of our most favorite categories we like to do are the resto mods. This year, we've selected, it's a 1978 Jeep Cherokee, but with a lot of modifications to it, soaked in this sort of 70s wrapper. To begin with, the vehicle, we bought it off of Craigslist somewhere, scanned it, and made a digital model of it. This is actually placed complete onto a brand new Rubicon 4xe chassis. So it's the 2-liter with the 4xe system, 37-inch tire on an old school slotted mag. The charge port is neatly integrated into it to charge the batteries. The whole instrument panel and front seating compartment is from the donor Wrangler. We've left the back seat out, put the spare tire in here, opened up the sides of it for fresh air. Just really a lot of great details on this vehicle. The overall impression we're really happy with.
That is the best inside of a Jeep I've ever seen. I love it. After I go drive through the desert, because that's what it looks like to me. It's a combination of surfing and desert.
There's nothing I don't like about it. Usually when they take a old school vehicle and modify it and make it more modern, I usually never like it. But they left enough alone and only improved where maybe it was best to improve it.
Yeah.
They left.
Think? I mean, is there any chance they make that?
Yeah, I think so. Because
gotta think that would sell, no?
We keep coming back to a big SUV. If you think about it over like the last 20 years, we keep going away from it, saying, hey, we need one that's a 4-cylinder, a 6-cylinder. We need one that's, smaller, more gas efficient. And then the Escalade pops up. Then they always come back. So I feel like this would finally fill the void for Jeep. I used to own the, what was it? It was their other try and it didn't work. And I actually liked the vehicle. What was the big Jeep?
Oh yeah, Commander.
Yeah, I had a Commander Limited. That was an awesome vehicle. But it didn't do well. And they've been trying to find that vehicle for a while, like the current Wagoneer.
Yep.
This one, I think, actually would capture.
Can I just say, I think the current Wagoneer is uninspiring. I just honestly, there's nothing, doesn't float my boat. This thing is.
That's the Wagoneer.
Yeah.
The current Wagoneer is too new school.
Yeah,
it's so new school that they should have just went with and said this is something else, and not even use that nameplate.
Agreed.
I also like the color scheme and the orange contrast on the vehicle. It makes it look fast.
I like the orange contrast of it.
And I can already say in advance, out of all of them, if they said you can take whatever you want, this would be the one I'd take.
Me too. Yep. We'll take 2 of those.
You'd want yours in all orange, so I'll take the yellow.
I don't know. That yellow is hot. I want the same roof inside, though. I want the inside of this thing is perfect for me.
I love the art. The Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4XE concept.
So this project actually starts out with a little bit of a story. 2021, we released a very special color for Wrangler. It was Tuscadero Pink. And that vehicle, we had anticipated it would do about 5,000 units. And we've been asked over and over for a follow-up. That's what this project is. This is a really special color, a follow-up that we're looking at. And then the vehicle it's applied to, pretty special vehicle, it's a 4xe Rubicon. We've sprinkled a few pieces on it from AEV, their front bumper with a shorter hoop, the worn winch, lighting down below. The tire is a 37-inch tire on a AEV beadlock wheel. Then moving down the side, it's one of my favorite combinations. It's the half doors with the one-touch power top. It just opens the vehicle up so nicely. And then you can easily close it back down. One other great feature of this, it has the AccuAir full air suspension on it. This is a new product and we're using it on this vehicle as well. It has about a 5.5-inch range to it. I'll just punch the button here. Air down.
What do you think about the color?
You know, I'm not a huge fan. It's a little bit much for me. It's different. I don't, it's got some blue highlights on it. So it's kind of a weird mix of like light blue and purple or magenta or whatever you want to call it. But, it's bold. I'll give it that.
If you want to stick out, the color will make you stick out. But
everybody that buys one of these its name has to be Barney.
You know what? I guarantee you at least if 3 or 4 of them are going to have Barney on it. Yep. The actual license plate.
Yeah.
So this one, there's really no upgrades. There's nothing of note to mention about the vehicle. This one is more about the color. This was a popular color with a model called the Tuscadero, and they were bringing it back for they're bringing it back. So I think in 2024, you'll be able to purchase your Jeep in this color. I wouldn't buy it, but I think it's cool for someone else.
Yep.
That's not in my color palette.
No, I'm going to go with that.
All right, we're going to move on
before we get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. The next one is the Grand Wagoneer Overland concept. Mark Allen telling us about it.
Another one of our concepts this year, we've done a Wagoneer. Wagoneer, being part of the Jeep family, of course, has great off-road credibility to it, and we wanted to amp that up and turn this into really a luxurious overlanding vehicle. Started on the front, we added a winch for self-recovery to it. These lamps are notable that they're actually a laser-powered lamp. Power for this vehicle is the new 3-liter Hurricane HO motor, which is going to be more than enough to move it around. For off-roadability, we added a 35-inch tire, larger tire to get us over more obstacles, and we did that by raising the wheel opening through here. The interior is notable. It's got a really great warm sort of a cabin plaid to it. Really nicely dresses up the cockpit. And then behind the front seats, we took everything out. So now it's just a big wide open space back here. Notably, this also features the new Red Tail Overland. It's their Skyloft roof camping system. Really a premium piece for a premium sort of an off-road vehicle. Now I'll show you how that works. This is a hard-sided piece with glass windows, or rather transparent windows. Open this back here. Deploys really quickly. So this is all battery powered, has a solar panel on the roof, and then it has heating, air conditioning, lighting, connectivity to it, a full 6-foot-long mattress into it, and it's really premium materials inside of this.
So basically, this Wagoneer, for people who are listening, you can buy this Wagoneer now. It's just the upgrades that they made on it for overland travel that are what makes this one different than the one that you can purchase. I'm very uninspired by the actual Wagoneer. But if I can get past that, it's one of the coolest Wagoneers I've ever seen. If they gave it to me, I would roll in it immediately.
Yeah, I mean, changes to this, minor changes. It looks like it's got bigger wheels, better tires, a winch on the front. So a bunch of different things. The Wagoneer itself, I agree with you, Phil, is uninspiring. The just the body work of it is just, I don't know. To me, it's boring. However, this has got to be the best attempt at an overland truck that I've seen Jeep produce. Because this pop-up thing and the way you get into it and the concept of it is fascinating to me. It's better than anything that they've done really with the Rubicon.
And this would solve an issue in the overland community, I think. There are a lot of people who procrastinate, and the procrastination is all centered on them designing their vehicle.
Yeah.
This is one that you could buy and it's fully kitted, ready to go. There's no decisions you need to make. There's no insecurities you need to have about a warranty or guarantees. It would be the perfect vehicle. I think it needs to come out now before maybe the economy changes.
What I like about it, in addition, is that you have your rooftop, I'll call it a rooftop tent. That's not exactly what it is, but your rooftop pop-up thing here, which makes a huge space. And the Grand Wagoneer is a lot larger of a vehicle than your Wrangler anyways. So that, I think, is what makes this a truly interesting potential for an overland truck, because you just got more room to carry more gear, more spacious, better for sleeping. Whether they ever make this thing or not, I don't know, but it definitely has potential. And it looks much cooler with this setup on it than it does with their, quote, uninspiring kind of stock one.
This is something that I feel like they should move on immediately, because someone is going to do it. Be the first. Somebody's going to do this.
Yep. Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like that tent's made by Red Tail, right?
Yep. Red Tail Overland. And
so
I do love the color and the paint job.
The paint job's pretty good. Yeah. I would like that same paint job with, instead of red highlights, orange highlights.
Of course. And I'm loving how the tent pop-up portion, you have solid walls.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that is the last issue that they have with tents, is the walls. And that solves that final. It has a fan. You have solar panels integrated into the the top of the tent, everything is just ready to go. And it looks so polished. It looks like what Apple would have done if you said make an Overland vehicle.
Kind of, yeah, you're right. And in addition, like that's probably one of the biggest complaints I hear about Overland rooftop tents is that the difference between soft-sided and the hard-sided versions of the tents is significant because number one complaint you always get is wind. And people, I can't tell you how many friends I've had camping out, particularly out west where it gets windy in the desert. And they've had to move their truck because it's intolerable with the flapping of all the canvas and stuff. So this interesting. It almost looks like those are hard windows too in that thing. No,
I've got to look at them again. I didn't even pay attention to that. That's a big detail. Those look like hard windows to me, for sure.
Yeah.
I can't. Nice. They're probably like some kind of, the back one for sure is a I don't think it's glass, but I think some kind of plexiglass or.
Yeah.
Because it's got to deal with impact. And it's so well lit. Look, it's all of those different lights, and that fan is huge. That's probably the largest fan I've seen in a tent.
It looks like a Max Air vent fan.
Mm-hmm. The Jeep Gladiator Rubicon Sideburn concept. Mark Allen telling us about it.
Another one of our entries for Moab this year is a Gladiator. We've been put together by our friends at JPP. Features a lot of cool things. First, this bumper seat on the front. So it's a grill guard, folds down to become a seat on the front. Metal bumper, Rubicon bumper with a worn winch in it. The vehicle features a lift from JPP, 37-inch tire on a unique wheel. This also being a Gladiator, but with the half doors on it, and then the hard top, I think it's just a really great look to it. Side rock rails for the vehicle. Lights on the roof, a unique sport bar arrangement back here with storage up on top, and then this cargo bed, which is a very utilitarian, but a concept piece on it. Features some great styling to it, open through the sides, Rotopacks mount here, and even the tailgate has been reconstructed in this great industrial feel to it. Spare tire has been relocated from under the vehicle up into the bed. Really a great piece.
Mike, I love this vehicle. I love the way it looks, and I would reconfigure it in a different way. That tire would have to come out of the flatbed.
I was about to say, to be honest with you, the truck looks great. It doesn't seem very practical to me. The tire in the back there is taking up all the space. I mean, it's great, I guess, if you want to do Baja racing or something, but having the tire up there is taking up all your space. I don't think that back piece that they're talking about, which is essentially the bed, makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, maybe it's just me. I spent so much time in a dusty environment, but all the holes and whatnot in there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. You're just going to have your back full of dust and dirt and mud and whatever else. So I don't know how realistic that concept is.
It would only be interesting to me if I was confident that there was some kind of shell that I could purchase, that there was an aftermarket that was going to service that vehicle, which probably would because it's a Jeep. But that's like a real funny back end. So like if a camper would have to be custom to that particular vehicle and no other.
Yeah, and that I think it's a little bit too unique. And, even like, putting that little Rotopack thing mounted in there. I mean, is that really a Rotopack? They don't make that shape, I don't think. That's a one-off. And what does that fit? 16 ounces? I mean, what goes in that?
I don't know.
It might be a good whiskey flask.
Right. But for the everyday consumer, that's a badass vehicle, especially because it's got that little fake Rotopack back there.
In fact, that's what makes the truck. I am willing to pay another 10 grand because it has that. we always get off tangent somehow. I know this was going to happen.
The funny
I was thinking
thing
about that when I watched this video the other day. I see that little roto pack in there, and I go, "Oh God, here we go. We're going off. There's guarantee we go off the rails on this Jeep somehow."
our go-to joke is about roto packs, and the funny thing is, I've got a bunch of them on my vehicle, and you've got them too.
Yes, I do. I don't have one that's shaped like a. I don't know what that is, and I don't have one that's small.
And I always look at things like that. Like, let's say that was actually out for, and I could go buy it. That's actually a turnoff to me because I'm like, I have to buy that water or gas container replacement from one person.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, he used the word Rotopax. Well, it is a Rotopax mount. So the Rotopax must have got involved in that little design or one-off there. But
Probably did.
You got to figure if Jeep was doing it, why wouldn't Jeep just make it himself?
I think a big vehicle company will probably buy them in the next couple of years.
Yeah, good bet.
A lot of these little companies are going to. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, no, I was going to say I do like the fact that if you look at that picture of the Jeep, it's got like built-in steps kind of going up the side there on that back piece.
Yep.
I like that.
I mean, just visually, I like everything about it. It's just when I start breaking down what I could use it for, what it's capable of.
Yeah.
That's when the issue starts. But it looks really nice.
Yeah. They've kind of taken a four-door Jeep though, and then made little use of the space in the back other than making it look cool. That's the use of space is questionable.
This is one, and they call them a concept vehicle. This is one of those ones where it really feels like they were just like, just throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. It wasn't like a serious thought put into this one. This is probably my least favorite one out of all of them. What was your favorite now that we've looked at them all?
Oh, by far, I think my favorite was the Wagoneer.
78 Cherokee.
I mean, that's what I mean. The Cherokee. Yeah. Yeah.
That's my favorite too.
Yeah,
now, yep. And
that's a you got to make that please Jeep because I will buy it.
I think a lot of people would buy it. I'm trying to think of you ever read Rob Report?
Yeah.
And in the back, they'll have like these little car makers in the back. They'll like take a Ford Bronco and electrify it and stuff like that. There's been people. I'm sorry.
There's been a couple that have made the Cherokee based on the Wrangler.
That's what I'm saying. If the actual company started building it, they could probably get it down to a price where more people could purchase it. Now it's kind of like, I mean, it's like maybe starting at $250 to build one of those things.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's actually somebody that's camped near me down here in Baja that has, I'll call it half of a Wrangler converted, like the front. They've got a Cherokee grill and stuff on it. I don't know where they bought it. I'll get a picture of it if I see it go by again because it's been. I see it every week almost. It's pretty cool. So somebody made it. I don't know if that's a one-off or somebody makes that front end grill that makes it look like that.
Well, so one takeaway that I've gotten from looking at their concept vehicles this year is Ford Bronco has really pushed them.
I'm glad you brought that up because that's why I think they should make the Cherokee, because I think the Rubicon, the Wrangler Rubicon, is a little, I don't want to say dated because I don't think it's dated because it really retains a really good traditional Jeep look. but stale might be a better word. And Bronco hit that market so hard, and it's come out with so many variations and so many. Like I just yesterday I was out and about, and I saw like 4 or 5 different Broncos, and there's some really cool ones. They got so many different mix and match ways of building it. I think Jeep needs to put some spark in the thing, and having a second vehicle based on that same platform, sharing a platform, seems like a great idea.
Well, Jeep has a huge challenge when it comes to those things because they have a very large, loyal following. And it's hard for them to just go modern or go with the best or new tech, because the people who have been buying the Jeeps over and over again, like me, we'll look at the YJ and be like, no square headlights. They must always be round. Right. If you don't have the 7 slots, there are certain things about the vehicle, the solid axle. So they are really hampered in a lot of ways as far as what they can do. So it's like, damn if I do, damn if I don't with them. And that's probably
that's why I like that Cherokee thing so much, because that is so keeping with the traditional look. It is so retro, and it's not messing around with the Wrangler at all because it's a different vehicle. I think that could be a big bonus to the Jeep brand.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely. That's the one, when I saw it, I was like, if that was available, I might buy one.
Especially since it's based on the same platform as the Wrangler. It's just different bodywork, essentially. So you're not going to offend really any of the diehard Jeep people either, because it's, like you said, it's got real axles. It's the real truck. It just has a retro look of a different Jeep vehicle. Mm-hmm. I think that's a win-win.
You have been listening to Waypoint Overland's Random Waypoints. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more.